Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cloud-Based Mayhem. Just got off the phone with Theo Warden. This has been a highly asked for pilot because he is 19 years old. He was actually in my little class that I did up in the Lakes District at Jockeys about a year and a half ago with the Cross Country Magazine and Ed Ewing that Ed Ewing organized for us, which was super fun. Obviously a super talented pilot. And he just got back from winning the Europeans, which is kind of like the world's, super high caliber competition and a long one, like the world's 10 days. So to keep it together for that long is super impressive. It was really tight all the way to the end, but he pulled off the win. And then they all went over to the British Nationals, and he won that as well. So unbelievable. I mean, to have that kind of success would be amazing in a career of being a competition pilot, and he's done it at 19. And then right after that, he went to the World Cup in Sopot in Bulgaria, got a little bit of humble pie, did not win that one, so that was cool, just to keep everything honest. And so we talk about all of that. We talk about how he did it, the kind of the mental side of things, the whole mentoring program that the Brits have been doing with Guy Anderson and Russ Ogden and all those guys. Obviously, that's creating some amazing results, maybe something we should be doing here in the States and other places. So, we talk about flow and mental state and, not making mistakes and being disciplined and all the things you got to do well in competitions. We also talk about his job a little bit. He repairs gliders and trims gliders with his dad. That's how they're funding things right now. He and his dad fly a lot together. And so talk about trimming gliders and the importance of it and when you should do it. So yeah, a lot of little good nuggets here that I think you're going to enjoy. And without further ado, please enjoy this great talk with Theo Warden. Theo, awesome to have you on the show. I've been stoked to catch up with you and find out how in the world you just pulled off these amazing wins. So really psyched to talk to you about that. Congratulations to these the British and the Europeans. I mean, you've already had a lifetime of wins. I'm super envious, man. That's amazing. And to have flown with you and done that little course we did a little over a year ago with Ed and the boys over in the Lakes with Jockey, and to see you pull that off was super cool. So yeah, man, congratulations.
I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for it, so it's it's cool to people are like, this dude's 19 and he just won Europeans and he won the British, so you got to get him on the show. So yeah,
awesome.
Excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, 19.
Yeah. So, how long you been flying? How'd you get into it? When did you start comps? Give us the resume version of your career thus far.
Okay, cool. So, actually, the first time I saw paragliding, I have a little story. I live right on the edge of a kind of national park called the Peak District, and where me and my family used to go into the Peak District for walks on the weekends to get away from the city. Just some time to relax. And we have this one ridge called Stanage Edge. And paragliders used to just fly along this ridge for hours and hours whilst we kind of went for our walks. And you look up at them, you give them a wave, and then they'd flat the brakes and wave back. And after that, I kind of always thought of it as something that I wanted to do. And that was back when I was a super small little kid. So when my dad, actually, he wanted to get into it as well. He was about around 50, and he asked my mum if she wanted to get into flying. She tried it, didn't really enjoy it, so he went on to it, and got trained up. And then a year later, the BHPA, the kind of governing body of paragliding in the UK, they changed the learning age from 16 to 14. So as soon as I heard that, I applied to get a job. I was just trying to save as much of my money. So as soon as I was 14, I could pay for equipment, training, and go on to learn. And I remember actually the first time I flew was, I think, the day after my 14th birthday. So I'd got everything sorted out, and it was, after that, it was awesome. I can remember standing I learned in airways on the toe on a flat field, and we got towed up. And the first time I can remember shaking and feeling really nervous. But as soon as, actually, yeah, I remember as soon as we took off, it was only like 20 feet above the ground. Just all the anxieties completely vanished, and I just felt super happy. And as soon as on the ground, I was just like running around. Yeah, as you would as a 14-year-old would. It was absolutely awesome. So that's kind of my introduction into paragliding. And since then, yeah, I've just been flying as much as possible. So when I was in school, I had the opportunity in like summer holidays where I could just spend all of my time like flying, looking at the weather, just doing any kind of preparation that I can. Yeah, and with competitions, I think I've been flying around. I think I've been flying around 1.5 to 2 years. I think maybe my first competition was when I was 15 or no, I think it was 16. I was flying a Nova Mentor 4 when I was in the Nova team. Yeah, that's Saint Andre in France. It was the British Championships, and yeah, I did terribly, but it was just amazing fun because we have all these people that had come from kind of like all over the world, and they all come meet in one place to fly all together. They all know each other really well. There's always lots of banter, and I kind of ever since that I just got hooked. It was partially the flying, but partially also the kind of the fun that you'd have with the people and getting to know new people and all of that. That's what I really enjoyed. So yeah, after that, the addiction just kind of took over my life, and it went from going to school and flying to getting a job with my dad up at Aerofix. We service gliders and trim them and repair them, make sure they're all safe to fly. And that's my full-time job now. And pretty much alongside that, I try and do as much comps as possible and fly as much as possible.
And between that, the British Championships when you were 16 and now, do you have a guess of how many comps you've flown?
Yes, I actually looked. I looked this up the other day because there's something on the CIVL website or CVIL website where it tells you how many comps you've done and which positions you've got. I think the last PwC that I did in Bulgaria was my 10th competition. So the
the Europeans 10th. Were your 8th competition?
Yeah, the Europeans was my 8th.
Oh, Theo, there must be a lot of pilots cussing you right now. Cussing and yet thrilled at the same time. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just been such an amazing experience. Like everyone in paragliding is just so friendly, and yeah, the flying is absolutely amazing. The views you get are amazing. I love this sport.
And do you have are there many other peers like at your age that you have buds that you're flying with that also got, because that's quite unusual over here. We don't have many young people getting into the sport. It's been one of the challenges of USHPA. We're trying to figure that out. Maybe tell me a little bit about, because I understand Guy and Russ have been pretty cool about creating kind of a juniors program. What is that? What is it? Is it like official? Do you get funds for it, or is it just kind of a mentoring thing? How does that all work?
So I'm not too sure on the fund side, but yeah, we have the BPRA, which is the British Racing British Paragliding Racing Academy, and it's pretty much a group of us where Russ, Guy, Idris, and Malin are kind of like Malin Love are the mentors, and they kind of bring everyone together. We do kind of like boot camps, SIVs, and competitions all together. And we they just try and get as many young people into it as possible to try and kind of make it easier. So they organize the SIVs and all this kind of stuff, and they try and subsidize it, which really does help because I'm 19. I have a full-time job. I spent all of my money on paragliding, so I'm still pretty poor. So yeah, with people my age, it's definitely getting better. So we have quite a few now. So we've got like Jack Pimblett. He's really good. He's flying acro as well as doing competitions, and he's killing it. We've got Antonio. We've got a few other young people like Jack Bailey, Kevin Maynard, Laurie Nocta. Laurie Nocta is actually my, he actually taught me how to fly at Airways. He was my instructor, and now we're flying together in competitions, which is awesome.
And he was in the course we did, right? Wasn't he up there with us in the lakes? Yeah,
Laurie was actually there. I think he was in your other
the other one.
The other one, yeah. I think he went just before us.
Right. Yeah, no,
that was epic.
Good dude. Yeah. Did you like it? Good. Yeah, that was really fun. That was the first thing I'd ever taught.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, I do a lot of informal teaching, but I've never been a formal instructor, or, any kind of thing like that. So that was a real blast, and it's always just cool to share space with Jockey. Such a good dude.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he really is. I think he's actually the new British team. What's he called?
Like the captain or something?
Yeah, British team captain, which I'm really excited for. Can't wait until next year.
So very cool. And then, so take me, like when you jumped on a plane to go to the Europeans, what were your goals? What were your hopes? What were you, were you hoping to win? Were you expecting top 10? Were you just hoping to have fun? Take me through that whole experience. And then also I'd love to hear, like during the comp, what you were hearing from your mentors. What were you hearing from Russ? What were you hearing from, like, hey, dude, keep it together, or like discipline, or, what was some of the advice you got? Because Europeans are long, and it's like a world's, I mean, it's like golf. You really got to hold it together for multiple days.
You do. And I think it's about a 10-day competition. And when I was heading out there, I wasn't really expecting anything. I think because one of the things I've learned from Guy and Russ is that, it's all about discipline and all this, but I feel it's all just fun, isn't it? Like we don't get anything from winning. It's just the experience of taking part, flying with your friends, having a good laugh, and a bit of competition, being competitive. After the super final this year, I've just tried to take the attitude of go to a competition and as relaxed as possible, with a completely clear head, and just fly for the fun of it, really. And I think that's what's been really helpful for me, because I think when I stress too much about a result, I just get completely stressed out. I'll crumble. I'll really, I kind of like mess up the end, or I won't be consistent. I think, that's been the biggest thing to kind of help me. So listen to Russ and Guy and Idris, and they've kind of, given us this idea of what flying should be. And
so I heard from some of your compatriots that, you just said that, you went in with this attitude of just trying to be really relaxed and, taking it easy and, just having fun. Were you successful at that?
I was. And
okay, I heard you got a little bit sick before both of those comps, maybe some butterflies.
That was actually, it's quite a funny story. I was actually ill during the Europeans, so I it's a bit gross. So I had this Camelback, and I hadn't washed it for a while. So the first day I drank from it, and then I got really ill. I was pretty much, I couldn't really do too much. I had to, that day that I was really, really ill, they actually cancelled the task. So I was in the HQ. This really lovely organizer called Valentina came and picked me up off the floor. I was laying down next to the toilets. And, she just looked after me, which was awesome. We ended up going to the doctors just really quickly to stick an IV in me and get me rehydrated. And then we drove up the hill, ended up being cancelled the day anyway. But and then that gave me a chance to recover. But it was really quite full on.
Oh, you were just proper sick. I understood it that it was just nerves.
No, okay. It was properly fully dehydrated, proper illness. Yeah.
I was watching the Europeans, kind of each day, and you had some really nice strikes early. What mentally, where were you, after the first couple of days? Like, okay, what was the strategy? Take me through the strategy of the whole race. Like, did it change? Did you alter anything, or was it always just go have fun?
Yeah, I think my main strategy is have fun and just try and be as consistent as possible. I don't try and push too hard. I'd only push if I have a really obvious opportunity, and that's something that Guy and Russ have been teaching since the beginning. So stay disciplined, stick with the gaggle. Just don't put yourself anywhere where you're going to be low and exposed, so people can just pimp you. Pretty much, you need to work with each other and do everything like as a gaggle, because I feel like the gaggle does move the fastest, and even if it doesn't go the most direct way, it seems to find the more efficient paths. And so during the competition, none of the strategy changed at all. It was pretty much just the same thing every day. The first day, we landed out pretty much everyone in the British team. But I just landed and I laughed because it was just such a fun task. We were blasting along this convergence, and there were little tendrils coming down and people were smashing through them. It was a really, really good day. It's just we were unlucky enough to not get the next thermal, and we all landed.
What was your wing? You take me back to you were flying the Mentor 4 in the beginning in San Andre. How have you moved up? How have you decided to move up? And what are you flying now?
So I'm flying an Enzo 3 at the moment, and absolutely love it. My favorite wing I've had ever, really. It's just amazing to fly. But back to the Nova and the Mentor. So I flew that first in San Andre, and I think, I'm not too sure, but I think maybe my next competition was on it, and then I went to Gemona, which was a British Championships, and that was a week where we did a BPRA kind of boot camp, and I had the chance to fly a Delta 2, which after flying the Mentor 4 was then my favorite wing. And then the next day I managed to borrow a Peak 4, so the Niviuk END. And I love that. So I kind of had over 2 days, I went from an EMB to a C and then to a D with two-liner. And I ended up actually buying the Peak 4 at the end of that trip. So I kind of had a really quick transition, which I probably wouldn't recommend. But it felt supernatural at the time with taking everybody else's advice and being careful about it. But so that's how I moved up. And then after that, I flew the Xeno, the Enzo Ozone Xeno, and then onto the Enzo. So I think that's actually been in the last 2 years or 1.5 years. I think it's been pretty recent, a bit fast.
And then, are you doing? Tell me about these boot camps. What's that? What does that involve?
So it depends on on how they set it up each year, but usually it involves Russ or Guy coming, and they'll just bring us all together, say, right, this day we're going to fly this task, and it's going to be like a normal competition day. So we'll have a start, a course, and a finish. And then at the end of each day, we would go back to a room with a TV. We'd load all the track logs onto a computer, and we'd play them back, and we could kind of look through, see what we all did, why we did it, and kind of analyze each bit as we go along. And it seemed to be, I think it's a really good way of doing it. So you're not just, you can't say, you can't really blame anything else apart from yourself, because if you make a mistake, it's obvious. We're on the screen, we can watch it, and you can't run away from it. So it's quite good. It makes you come to terms with any kind of traits or mistakes that you have in your flying. So it's quite exposing.
How does that align with just your XC flying, like the North-South Cup, for example, or something like that? Like one of the things that I've been really battling in my own comp flying is, like you, I had some, kind of early success probably before, and I'm not comparing myself now to you because you've been doing a lot of training, but my early success in comps was probably, a lot of it was just luck and probably just taking it I wasn't serious about it. And then you would do well. And then I started thinking, oh, I could do well. I should train at this. And then I lacked the discipline. I was constantly pressing out and, I remember at the super final in 2012, Russ came up and he was like, discipline. That was his word.
That's his thing.
That's his thing. Yeah. And so I've been really trying to kind of rejigger how I fly, but it really doesn't often totally align with comps. I mean, it's still hard for me to be disciplined, and it's hard to, I don't know. It's my best flying is done when I'm creative and, I go for it and I try to take something deep. Like in this last great example, the last day of the Nordic Open that I just got home from, a bunch of us had scored really poorly because of this. There was a ton of pilots there not making nominal distance every day. So a lot of the days, you'd make goal and it'd be like, you'd get 450 points kind of thing. And so it skewed things in a really strange way. Anyway, the last day, the really obvious line was way off course line. There was this, the clouds were smoking over this ridge and two people went that way, Ari and another guy, Louis, and they did, they came into goal like 20 minutes ahead of everybody else. And it was totally the line I would have taken if I was just flying XC. But this whole like discipline thing is like, no, Gavin, don't leave the lead gaggle. Don't leave the lead gaggle. The lead gaggle will figure it out. And the lead gaggle, a lot of them bombed. It was really tough because we took the wrong way. Anyway, and it's been really interesting to try to kind of figure that out. And I just wonder if that's something that's happening in your own flying.
I think paragliding is there is a lot of luck in paragliding because no one can see all of the weather. You could go to a cloud and there could be no lift under it. I think there is a lot of luck in what we do. I think there's also making your luck is a big part of it. So kind of looking at the bits you can see, so the clouds, maybe the ridge, looking at some ridges, like seeing if there's any kind of darker fields out in the valleys. But I think most of my flying has been with like really high level competitions. So, and really really skilled pilots. So it's been quite easy just to see what they're doing and trying to understand why they're doing it. I think in that way, flying with the people I've had the opportunity to fly with, it's just been pure learning. I've not had too many days where the lead gaggle has kind of failed. I've had lots of days where kind of the second gaggle will overtake, and then the first gaggle will overtake again. We've had a lot of kind of gaggle hopping and leapfrogging. But yeah, I think I actually have been really, really lucky in my flying career so far. Hopefully, carry on with it.
Yeah, and that's been kind of an interesting thing to watch. You see, I mean, obviously, you see the consistency of people like Mark Watts and Guy and Russ. And, it's very rare that they're not up there in the top 20, but you do see it. You still see it happen. Like Aaron Duragati won the super final 2 years in a row. And then last year he was in the 80s, it's pretty interesting. And you get on these runs where like, you can't do anything wrong. Like Mickey Siegel this year, he just couldn't get it wrong. And I heard from other people, I didn't go to the super final this year and I wasn't down in Brazil. The other one he won. But I heard that, it was kind of like, he would take lines that other people were kind of like, ooh, man, that's kind of, and it would work. It'd be like he would leave the gaggle and go do his own thing, and it would work. And I'm finding it hard to really hit that right. Yeah,
there are just it's people like Ono who just, I swear, in previous lives they were birds. Actually, this one time in the Euros, there was this how they do parahawking, one of those kind of hawks. It was flying around. Waiting for its like, I don't know, its master to take off, and it went and landed on Ono's head. I just thought to myself, like, there's something going on. Maybe he was just a bird in a past life or something. if you believe something like that. But yeah, it's I don't I don't know. I think maybe that comes with experience, because there haven't been a huge amount of opportunities where I've thought, right, let's go for it and try and like gain 20 minutes on everybody else. But I think there's just some people can do it, and they can do it really consistently, and they get that flow where they can just they can stay relaxed and do everything completely right. It really is just amazing to watch.
So let's talk about flow, because I've just been reading a ton of books, and Chick sent me high, and all this. There's a ton of information coming out about flow. Stephen Kotler's books recently, and Rise of Superman and stuff, and Stealing Fire. It's been quite fun. Are you doing training outside of just hours?
I think most of my most flying has been competition recently, and I've been really busy with work and other commitments, so I've not actually been flying a huge amount. But the flying that I have been doing has been, I think, the right kind of flying, so just as many competitions as possible, and then it kind of gets me in the zone. And I think that's what helps. So if I'm flying competitions the whole time, you kind of stay in that flow. Apart from in the last PwC, I did that was definitely, it was amazing fun, but I didn't do too well, and it was still an amazing competition. But
I was gonna say, so you win the Europeans, and then you immediately win the British right after that. Does that put more, less? What were you feeling, any pressure from that going into the World Cup, or can you pin down what went wrong in the World Cup, or was it just paragliding? Sometimes it just doesn't go right.
Yeah, it's quite funny because after the two competitions, I didn't feel really any pressure. I think it made me love the sport even more, and there wasn't really a huge amount going through my head. Maybe I'm just a bit simple, but I went to the PwC with just that eagerness to fly. Because when on those days where you bomb out, you're either in the mentality of, fuck, I've just messed this up, this competition is ruined, or you're feeling like, I absolutely can't wait for tomorrow, I wish I was on launch right now, about to take off for the next task. And pretty much every day that I bombed in the PwC, I had that attitude of just, I can't wait to fly again. It was before, when I was putting too much pressure on the results, I never used to get that. I always used to get frustrated, and now it's just I'm really enjoying this this kind of carefree, a bit more relaxed approach to competitions. I think for my personality, it suits me.
And was that did that just come naturally, or is that something you consciously decided, or was that feedback from other people? Because I think a lot of people, including myself at times, get that wrong. You land, you kick your helmet, God damn it. And it's definitely that's not the way to learn. Absolutely the way to do it is like, that was amazing. I just flew, number one, that's amazing. And then I just landed, that's amazing. And I'm safe, and that's amazing. And it's all good. And then we get to go do it tomorrow. Like, this is incredible. That should be the attitude, but it's not always the one we have.
And no, that's true. And I think I would land, and then I would just take a few minutes to think about what happened to if I land on my own. You have to think about why was I on my own? Why did I land? What did I do differently? Because I think you have to think about it while it's still fresh in your head, and just keep it in mind for the next few days, but don't let it kind of drag you down. I think that's what kind of got to me. Is I used to just try and get in my head, and I was thinking, right, I have to fly good now, but really just treat each day the same. You're just flying for fun, try and do the best you can, and enjoy it in the process. I think that's how I've been doing things. So I think it was conscious. I think maybe because over time I would have both experiences, and then I would do better after a day where I was more relaxed and kind of eager to fly the next day. Because if I was angry, I'd have this red mist, and I think the days after that wouldn't go as well for me, or they wouldn't be as fun, and then it would make it even less fun because I'd get even more angry. It's I think like putting two and two together, I just decided to try as hard as I can to kick out that negative emotion and just fly for the fun of it.
Let's switch here a little bit to your job. How much is trimming gliders? How often should we be trimming our gliders? At the competition level, how often are you tweaking your own? What are we? Those of us who, because we just started doing that this fall, and it's been quite fascinating. Tell me about that whole side of things. How you're flying an Enzo. How often should you be trying to make that thing go better?
I mean, when I actually trim my wing before every competition, if I get a chance to, if I go home, just to check that everything's as it should be, and that that's the way I like to fly it before I get on the plane and go and fly the competition. But that's because I have the opportunity to just go on a weekend and check my trim. For other people, I think just as much as possible. If you're flying competitions and you want to get the best result, I think at a high level you need your wing to be on par, or you need to be as good as it could possibly be. Because you get those really long glides, and if you're flying slowly, you won't be matching everyone's speed. Or if something funky is going on with the trim, your glide might not be as good, or your climb might not be as good, and you'll just get left behind. And sometimes it can be the glider. It's and that can get inside your head. So I think definitely at least once a year. If you're flying an Enzo, it definitely needs, or any comp wing. It depends on the comp wing, but I think there are small things that change over time, especially as soon as the first kind of 50 hours are quite crucial. I find that the lines kind of the way I see them is like they're like a memory foam mattress, and when you get them brand new, they've got no kind of impression at all. They've not been used, but as soon as you start using it, they'll kind of shrink or stretch to their shape, and then they'll kind of remain there more consistently over time. Is my experience. So that first 50 hours, I think you really need to be looking at it, because the first 10 hours I flew my Enzo is absolutely amazing, and then after that I kind of just slowly started to get slower and slower, and then I got to trim it and it was amazing again. So yeah, it's
interesting.
Yeah, it really does make a huge difference between even 5 millimeters can make a huge difference to the way the wing feels. And I wouldn't have thought that, because I'd come from wings like the Nova, where you could have like over the whole kind of the whole chord, it could be the kind of 20 mil shorts at the back on the C's and D's compared to the A's, and it still flies okay. It's a little bit slow and the handling's not as great. Brake pressure's a bit light, but on an Enzo, if it was like that, you'd absolutely hate it. It'd feel completely different to how it felt when it was new. And because it's such a gradual process, you might not actually recognize it. So back to the subject. I think you should get it checked as much as you can. Maybe send it to someone, or you can actually make your own trimming kit. It's not actually that expensive. You just need a laser. Like you can make your own kind of target and pulleys, and make sure it's loaded 5 kilos every line when you pull it. Just get it checked as much as possible. Is what I think.
Are there generalities you're seeing? From all the checks I've done, they seem to always shrink. The lines always get shorter. Okay, so is there generalities you're seeing between the A's? I mean, is it typically like if I brought you a 50-hour Enzo before you even checked it, are you going to be like, yeah, I can pretty much tell you what we're going to be doing here?
There's a few things. I've have a lot of experience with ozone wings, just because a lot of people in the UK seem to be flying ozones, and especially Enzos or Xenos. So I can say that generally the bees do shrink, and when you're flying, well, the bees do shrink. So you'll either have to loop the A's, or if they've got loops in the B's, you'll have to release the B's, or and it's quite interesting. So you'll measure a wing, and it's not always just quite as simple as releasing a few loops. It's quite subtle. So you've got the I go into a lot of detail, but there's some things that might need changing on one side, which might not need changing on the other, or some things might be asymmetric. It's all changing. Everything kind of changes differently, and it depends on the wing and how it's been flown. One of the things I have found on the ozone wings is they have a Dyneema loop that holds the AR3. So it's kind of like you've got the AR1, AR2, they're on the main riser block, and then you've got an extra kind of Dyneema loop that's on the holding the AR3. On the Xeno especially, I found that seems to shrink quite a bit, which is kind of natural for Dyneema. So Dyneema, we kind of use in paragliding, we use two materials, Dyneema and Kevlar. Dyneema is really good for strength, but it's not. It doesn't always do the best at maintaining its length. And Kevlar is really good at maintaining its length, but it gets weaker quite a bit faster, is what I found. So it's got this Dyneema loop, and that kind of pulls the AR3s down, and that can make the tips quite fast. So that's something you need to watch out for if you're flying an Enzo or a Xeno. Sometimes you can have everything slowing down and then the tips relatively kind of speeding up. There's some weird things that can happen,
and that causes them to tuck a lot.
It can cause it to collapse a little bit. If the tips are too fast, they'll become unstable. There's quite a lot that goes on, and I'm not a test pilot, but it's quite fun kind of taking these wings, trimming them, playing around, and then flying them and seeing how it makes a difference, because it really can make a difference in the feeling.
I'm sure.
Just from a few millimeters.
Very cool. So tell me about, you do these 3 comps. You got your little bit of humble pie there at the end at the World Cup in Sopot. And so what does the winter look like to you? What were the takeaways? What are the, obviously it sounds like you like flying even more than you did when you went there. So you're still super stoked about it. So what does that mean for the next kind of 6, 9, 12 months?
I'm just really excited to fly as much as possible. That's pretty much it. As many comps as I can possibly do. And also I want to spend a little bit more time flying just not competitions. So maybe taking people to tandems, flying together with friends. But I think in the next kind of year or two, I'd really like to get into either doing something like tandems commercially, or doing some more, maybe getting into guiding, something along those lines that isn't really related to the comps, which I can have as well as the comps. And
I might have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure you and I talked about the X Alps when we were up there together, flying around together.
Yes.
Is that still something you're interested in?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that's another thing I missed off the list. I really, really want to get into kind of the Volbiv scene, just because I love the idea of freedom. Where you could just take your wing and go absolutely anywhere. Just go for it. But yeah, I need to find the time really to be able to do that, because everything's a bit busy at the moment. I just need to get myself somewhere where I can go for it.
Can I ask, did you apply for 2019?
I'm definitely not fit enough to do anything like that. I think you can run a marathon, and that's not even close to what the guys in the X Alps are doing. They're just like a marathon every day, and you need exactly. So you tell me. I think it's just a lot more physical than anyone has actually, unless they've actually done it, anyone knows about. It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, it's pretty out there for sure. But if you apply, and you get in, you'll be like, yep, okay, got to do it. So
That's true.
I hope I'll see you in it in one of the future years. That'd be awesome. And you got plenty of time, obviously. So
I think I
that's
just
very
need to
cool.
apply. Like you
Yeah.
say, just go for it, just train.
And so your relationship with your dad, I met him when we were up there as well. Super psyched. You could see very proud father. Is he still pretty into flying himself? Do you guys fly a lot together?
Yeah, he's like me. He's not lost the passion. He absolutely loves it. So he's not as much into competitions as me. He tried that out and he decided he wasn't as into it. But cross country is really where his heart is, where his heart's set. Yeah, every time we get a chance to go out to the hill and go exceed, it's just, you can tell he loves it. That's really what he's interested in.
You guys do any trips together, or is it mostly in the UK?
It's mostly in the UK. Neither of us have had a huge amount of time this year, just because work's kind of exploded. We've had so much service work, but we want to, planning in the future, we want to go away and do a bit more kind of Volbiv together, something a bit more interesting, and combining the two, walking and flying, which is kind of a passion we both share. That's the plan for the future. More trips together.
So Theo, taking us back to the competitions, you're only 19. You've had this amazing success there. What would you like to pass along to the listeners about, what did you learn from it? What would you, if you could go back to your Nova day and come back up to where you were, would you change anything? What are the kind of the bigger takeaways about how to do well?
Sure. I think something that I've learned over time, and I've had a lot of help from, I don't know if you know Judy Ledden. She's a world record holder, ex world champion, and all this amazing stuff. She's just an absolutely amazing person. She's helped me out a lot with kind of the mental side of things. So, which actually I think is just as important as learning all the specifics in competitions, like not putting yourself anywhere where you can be exposed and used. So yeah, when it comes down to flying, for me, I think most of it is in my head. So if I'm having a good day, I'm relaxed, I'll fly a lot better than if I'm kind of a little bit worked up. There's something niggling on my mind. Yeah. So if you put yourself in a good headspace, you've got a clear head. I think that's really the days where I fly the best. And
is there anything you do, kind of consciously, like in preparation, for a given day to get more in that headspace, kind of work towards that more flow state?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. You just reminded me. So every day on the in the morning of the Europeans, we would me, the British team, and everyone in the team would come together and we'd do some yoga. And also it sounds pretty out there, but we'd kind of sit outside our rooms. We had all our rooms were kind of aligned in our hotel. We'd come outside, bring a little mat, do loads of stretches, and then right at the end we'd have a little meditation session. So we would sit down, not think of anything, just pretty much clear our minds. We had a few little techniques which Malin Lobb and Jess Cox were taking us through. And I think stuff like that is actually really helpful. It sounds like it'd have no connection in any way to like yoga and paragliding, but I think it was just something that was really enjoyable. It got you feeling fresh, awake in the morning, and it just kind of led on to having good days.
That's great. Were you guys as a team analyzing tracks after the race, at the end of the day too, or is that just too much? There's not enough time for that.
There wasn't a huge amount of time for that in the Europeans. I think some days we had, we had days where we would come back and it was quite late, so we wouldn't really have the time. But it was pretty much just the morning preparations would be really chilled, and then we go eat breakfast together. And yeah, I think actually the company as well. The company throughout that competition and the Brits was just absolutely lovely. Like the people that we were with, the attitude, the mentality, everything was just absolutely perfect. They just couldn't have asked for any better company at all. It's just really perfect.
Will there be like a team leader kind of thing? It's something like the Europeans, or does that only happen in the Worlds?
I'm not too sure. I think this year there was a complication with our team leader, so he couldn't make it. But usually there is. It's just this year we were a bit unlucky. Yeah. So next year we have Jockey Sanderson, which should be awesome for the Worlds.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
We'll be just laughing the whole time. The whose contribution was that? Who decided to bring that to the fold? The meditation and the yoga and what was the?
Yeah, it in no way it wasn't official at all. It was just pretty much Jess would go in the morning and she'd do some yoga, and then we all saw and we all just wanted to join in, and then Malin contributed with the some of the techniques with the kind of meditation. And yeah, so half an hour at 7:30 until 8:30 we would whack on some whale music and just completely chill out, stretch it, and get ourselves in the right headspace. It was perfect.
That sounds amazing.
We're just chasing it, flying and getting in that flow, and it's just, once you're there, it's absolutely it's such an amazing feeling, just being there with all of your friends, flying together, all thinking the same. It's just, yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently on risks and, like the wingsuit jumpers take, for example, base jumpers and that kind of thing, where the odds are just really bad.
Yeah.
And yet, that it really is this, this flow state that we chase, and this ability to really be in the now, and be incredibly present, is a very special thing. It's not something that a lot of people, something that everybody has experienced sometime in their life, whether that be in business and corporate and drive. There's a lot of different ways you can get there, often just by mistake. Whereas paragliding, you get there very often not by mistake. It just takes you there, and it's it's one of the most powerful drugs there is, and so it's no question. I mean, there's no question why we do it, why we go there, because it's a powerful drug. It's like you've used the word addiction a few times, and it truly is. So it's an interesting line we walk, though, and it's been something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I don't know that any of us really have it sorted in a sense. It's just more the downside is certainly down.
It's an amazing sport. It's just, it has obviously its downsides.
I'm curious, is this something you guys talk about as a family much with your dad, with your mom? Is she concerned about you guys? It's quite interesting. My girlfriend Maddie is, I think she's concerned in a way that you would just normally be concerned, but she's not really that worried about me. And she finds that, I think that I have her convinced, and I am convinced of this myself, that it's not really a dangerous sport. You can participate for a lifetime and not get hurt. You just have to be super mindful every single time you fly that this could be, this is the most important flight of my life right now. This one that I take. Exactly. And I think if you have that kind of mindfulness about it, that there are no just you got to pay attention.
Yeah. And I think the people that surround you do pick up on that. So if you act reckless, there's probably more reason to be concerned. And obviously Maddie's picked up on you recognizing that the flight that you're flying at the moment is the most important in your life. That's what you have to concentrate 100% of your bandwidth on, just flying and being safe and having fun. And as long as you're doing it doing it right, I think, yeah, you're right. It's not the most dangerous sport in the world. I think you're probably more likely to get hit by a car, or have an accident, like tripping over and hurting yourself, than paragliding. Yeah.
Theo, great stuff, man. I really appreciate it, and that's a good place to end. Actually, you know what? Before we end, I do have one more question for you. When you think back on your 5 years of flying, God damn, I can't believe you won those 2 comps, dude. That's so epic. So when you think back to these 5 years, what comes to mind? The most precious moment you've had in the sky?
I think it's just, all of it. But I think the most precious is just, there's no one moment. It's kind of just whenever you're in the sky and you're just looking across and you can see your friends smiling, and you're all just doing the same thing. I think it is a really social sport for me. It's just absolutely, the social bit is one of the most important, I think. I love that. I love flying with my friends and having a good time, and then getting on the floor and talking about all the shit that happened in the sky. Yeah, awesome. That's what I love.
Yeah, the paradribble. I can't say Maddie enjoys that very much, but I sure like it.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for the people that are surrounded us. Like, we are just talking rubbish half the time.
We are. That's true. Did you see that? And you're just like, yeah.
Exactly. That's good.
Theo, thanks. I really appreciate it. It was so cool to watch, man. I am an ex-contest junkie, and I watch these things because I'm envious. I wish I could be there. And it was just so cool to, like, whoa, I know that dude. What's going on here? And that was just really exciting. And then to watch again in the British, it's like, my God, he's having one. So again, congratulations. Terrific to watch. Good luck at the super final and whatever you decide to do with the rest of this year. And I hope to see you in the X Alps someday. That'd be a blast. But thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I've really enjoyed this. It's been really fun. I appreciate it. Thanks, Gavin.
Cool, man. Talk soon. I hope you enjoyed that. Great to sit down with Theo and talk about those wins in Europe and see what the future holds for him. As always, all we ask for is a buck a show. This is a listener-supported podcast, and there's been a ton of people supporting lately. So I guess that kind of opener I gave a few episodes back just about why we've done it that way and why we've decided to not use sponsors and advertising and stuff as hit home a little bit. So really thank you all for reaching out and supporting that. So we've got these bonus shows that are coming up here shortly on the Patreon. If you support via Patreon, and that's patreon.com/cloudbase mayhem, you'll find the links on that for the website, cloudbasemayhem.com. You get these rewards for doing that, t-shirts and hats and other stuff. But one of those is these bonus podcasts that we do with people that either support the show, or in this case, we've got one coming out with Paul Guschelbauer, who came through town a few weeks back. We had some pretty epic days. You might have seen that video up on YouTube that he did, and it was really good. He gave a talk about the X Alps, so that's on there. But the people that support us via PayPal also have access to all of that. I just don't have a way to easily reach them. So if you support us via PayPal, just make sure, if you've done that, I've added you to the newsletter. So when these podcasts come out, you should get that newsletter, and I'll just provide the link in there. And that's just kind of on the honor game. I don't know that everybody on the newsletter is supporter of the show, but I don't really have a way to carve those out. So I want to make sure that you get those too if you financially supported us through PayPal as well. So keep an eye out for those newsletters. I'll have the links to those bonus shows. And that's it for now. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for your support. And appreciate it. Cheers.